We're looking live here at the U.S. Supreme Court, which is set to hear a challenge today to a Tennessee ban on gender-affirming care for minors. Attorneys for the Biden administration and transgender youth are pushing for America's top court to declare that law unconstitutional. It's one of the highest profile and most politically contentious cases the judges will take on, and Richard Madden is in Washington to cover the story for us today. Tell us more at the case, Richard, and the very issues at the heart of it, the ban that's really at the core of all of this, just so we can follow along with what's happening at the Supreme Court today.
Yeah, absolutely. Good morning, Heather. And you're right. The conservative majority is set to hear a high-profile case, and the arguments will focus on whether state laws that ban gender-affirming treatment for minors violates the federal equal protection laws under the 14th Amendment that requires the government to treat people the same. Now, this challenge was brought by three families affected by a law passed by Tennessee's Republican-led State House a year ago that bans gender-affirming care to minors and penalizes doctors who prescribe treatments like hormone therapy or puberty blockers to children diagnosed with gender dysphoria. But the law does not apply to children who don't identify as transgender, and the family's lawyers will argue that's discrimination. Watch.
This is a law that bans medical treatment only when it is prescribed inconsistent with an individual's sex. Our argument is that that treats people differently because of their sex, and therefore the court has to treat it like all other forms of sex discrimination, and that's why it's unconstitutional.
Now, defense lawyers say the law doesn't discriminate because it applies to both boys and girls, adding the law actually protects children from what they say are irreversible, unproven medical procedures. Watch.
There's a huge placebo effect. Anytime a patient is told, we're going to help you with this medication, you're going to feel better, it's going to be the answer to your problems, there's often an acute response that's positive to it.
Now, while plaintiffs will argue parents should decide what's best medical treatment for their kids, not governments, the defense will point to the European countries that pioneered this treatment that have started to pull back over concerns of safety and effectiveness.
Richard, what are the broader implications of the eventual ruling from the Supreme Court here?
Yeah, Heather, we don't expect a ruling anytime soon, but it could have a major impact to the more than 24 Republican-led states that have enacted similar laws. That's basically half the country. Now, the court could either strike them all down or send a powerful endorsement. Either way, this is an historic decision ahead for the High Court. Watch.
It's a put up or shut up moment for the Supreme Court. Are they willing to strike down statutes that are overwhelmingly supported by the Republican Party and not by Democratic legislators?
Now, this case also begins ahead of a major political sea change here in Washington, because in just a few weeks, Republicans will regain control of both chambers of Congress, and President-elect Donald Trump will return to the White House, and he's vowed to further restrict treatments for transgender minors and ban transgender athletes from women's sports.
Richard Madden, thank you very much in Washington.